The train station in the small village of Wiedenbach, Montana, shimmered beneath the scorching summer sun. Elisabeth Hart stepped off the train, carrying 2 worn suitcases, expecting to meet the man who was supposed to become her husband. But there was only silence, until 7 children appeared, lined up like forgotten wildflowers, their faces dirty and their eyes filled with both hope and abandonment. Elisabeth believed she had come for a new life, a husband, and a home. Instead, she found something much greater. 7 hearts waiting for someone who would stay. Have you ever been led by fate to an unexpected place, only to discover that you truly belong there? That question awakened both curiosity and compassion for the journey Elisabeth was about to begin. Elisabeth Hart, 29 years old, stepped off the train with a tired yet hopeful heart. She had left gray Chicago behind, searching for stability after years of hardship. The letters from Thomas Reed, a farmer from Wiedenbach, had promised a modest but secure life. Yet at the dusty station, where the blazing sun burned her skin, she found no Thomas. Instead, she found 7 children whose eyes reflected both fear and hope. Noah, 12 years old, held a baby in his arms, carrying a burden far too heavy for someone his age. Greta and Emma, 8-year-old twins, clung to one another, their bond serving as a shield against the world. Lenny, 5 years old, tightly hugged a worn blanket, a precious reminder of her lost mother. Samuel, 10, watched Elisabeth with suspicion, always ready to fight. Benjamin, only 3 years old, hid behind his sisters. And the baby slept peacefully in Noah's arms, unaware of the troubles surrounding them. Clara, the oldest, led Elisabeth to a rundown farm. The roof sagged, fences lay broken, and the yard looked as though hope itself had withered away. There, Noah finally spoke. His voice was steady but fragile. Father died 3 days ago. A snake bit him. He was already sick when he wrote to you. He said you might still come anyway. His words, filled with resignation and hope, pierced Elisabeth's heart. The shock nearly made her stumble. Thomas, the man she had crossed half of America to meet, was dead, and the children stood alone. Worse still, another threat loomed over them. The cruel brothers, greedy ranchers from the area, claimed ownership of the farm. They insisted that Thomas owed them money and that the land now belonged to them. Elisabeth could leave. She could return to Chicago. She could forget all of this. But when she looked into Lenny's eyes, saw Samuel's defiant courage, and noticed the quiet strength of the twins, she felt an unexplainable connection. The choice became clear. Stay and fight for these children, or leave them behind. Elisabeth stayed. Using the last of her supplies, dried meat and herbs, she cooked a simple soup. Soon the farmhouse filled with a warm and comforting aroma. The children ate quietly. Their cautious expressions slowly softened. Noah watched her carefully. Greta and Emma shared a bowl. Samuel ate with a stubborn frown. Benjamin chewed slowly. Lenny clung to her blanket, and the baby slept peacefully. For a brief moment, the warmth of the meal connected them all. The next day, the cruel brothers arrived on horseback. Anton and Jens rode into the yard with confidence and arrogance. "This land belongs to us," Anton growled. "You are trespassers." Samuel jumped to his feet. "Try taking it from us." His bravery ignited something inside Elisabeth. "This is their home," she said firmly. "You'll have to go through me first." The brothers laughed, but the look in their eyes promised trouble. Hope arrived in the form of Mrs. Agnes Muller, a widow from the village. Elisabeth and Samuel helped restore her neglected garden, and in return, she gave them potatoes, carrots, and seeds. "Be careful of the cruel brothers," she warned. "They control half of Wiedenbach." Her kindness was a ray of light, but her warning weighed heavily on Elisabeth's mind. As they walked home, Lenny tugged gently on Elisabeth's skirt. "Mom used to say I was good at looking after people," she whispered. Elisabeth knelt beside her, deeply touched. "Then we'll look after each other, all right?" Lenny nodded shyly, and in that moment, Elisabeth's heart melted. That evening, beneath the lantern light, Noah told stories about how the twins used to sleep curled together on freezing nights while Thomas was sick. Greta and Emma held hands as he spoke. Their love for each other was a testament to family strength. Elisabeth felt a lump rise in her throat. She was deeply moved by their resilience. But danger continued to grow. At dawn, they discovered the fence destroyed. A note had been left behind. Leave or lose everything. Fear spread through the farm. Yet the children stood together. Noah and Samuel carried boards to secure the windows. Greta and Emma swept the yard. Lenny comforted Benjamin. The baby cried in the tense silence. Elisabeth hammered nails into wood. Her hands trembled, but her determination remained strong. The cruel brothers were like an approaching storm. Yet the unity of the children, Noah's quiet strength, Samuel's fiery courage, and the twins' unwavering love, made them stronger. And for the first time in years, Elisabeth found a new purpose. Would they be able to survive what was coming? The question lingered heavily in the air. The night in Wiedenbach felt heavy with tension. Elisabeth stood in the kitchen, flour still covering her hands. Her heart raced. Noah sharpened a wooden stick. Greta and Emma whispered quietly. Samuel paced back and forth. Lenny hugged her blanket. Benjamin clung to his sisters. And the baby slept restlessly. The threatening note from the cruel brothers burned in Elisabeth's thoughts. She had chosen to stay. Now she would have to face the consequences. Suddenly, hoofbeats shattered the silence. The cruel brothers arrived, armed and furious. They pounded on the door. "This ends tonight," Anton shouted. Elisabeth gripped a kitchen knife. "You're not taking anything from here," she said firmly. Samuel stepped forward, holding his stick tightly. His eyes blazed with determination. Then another sound echoed across the yard. More hoofbeats. A stranger rode into the darkness. A rifle rested in his hands. "Back away," he thundered. "I'm Heinrich Reed, Thomas's brother. This land does not belong to you." In his hands he carried a worn journal. "Read the last page," he told Elisabeth. With trembling hands, she opened the diary. Thomas's final words stared back at her. "This land, this house, belong to Elisabeth and my children. Protect them." Tears filled Elisabeth's eyes. Thomas had known he was dying, and somehow he had called her there not just for marriage, but for something greater: family, purpose. The cruel brothers attacked, but Samuel struck Jens in the leg, sending him crashing to the ground. Heinrich fired a warning shot that grazed Anton's arm. The brothers fled, their power finally broken. Amid the chaos, Heinrich placed a hand on Elisabeth's shoulder. A quiet connection passed between them. Their eyes met. Then Elisabeth turned toward the children. "This is our home," she shouted. "And we are not afraid." Noah smiled proudly. Samuel lowered his stick. The twins cried with relief. And Lenny whispered softly, "You stayed." At that moment, Elisabeth knew. This was where she belonged. At sunrise, the village arrived. Mrs. Muller had spread the news. Neighbors brought blankets, flour, tools, and supplies. Mr. Kallman delivered nails. Widow Toman brought a goat. Together, they rebuilt the farm. Heinrich worked beside Elisabeth every day. His rough edges softened whenever he carried Benjamin or taught Noah new skills. Their brief conversations slowly blossomed into a quiet romance. The children flourished. Noah laughed more often. The twins sang while they worked. Samuel helped willingly. Lenny and Benjamin played freely. And the baby giggled beneath the warm Montana sun. One evening, beneath a golden sunset, the family planted seeds together. Lenny tossed flower petals into the air. "This looks like a wedding," she laughed, looking at Elisabeth and Heinrich. "Are you staying forever?" Elisabeth smiled, then looked toward Heinrich. His smile answered everything. The farm, once broken and abandoned, now overflowed with laughter and life. Elisabeth had come searching for a husband. Instead, she found 7 children, a home, and an unexpected love. She had finally found her place. The Montana sun bathed the new garden in golden light. Elisabeth and Heinrich planted seeds side by side. Their hands brushed, and both smiled shyly. The farm that once stood in ruins now shone as a symbol of resilience and hope. The children chased a runaway chicken through the yard. Their laughter filled the air. Noah led the chase, finally free from responsibilities that had weighed him down for too long. Greta and Emma ran with their braids flying behind them. Samuel laughed as he tossed a pebble playfully. Benjamin chased a butterfly. And Lenny, wearing her blanket like a royal cape, scattered wildflower petals everywhere. "This really is like a wedding," she shouted. The baby kicked happily inside a basket beneath the warm sunshine. Elisabeth looked around and felt her heart overflow. She had come to Wiedenbach searching for marriage. Instead, she had found something much more precious. Family, a home, purpose. The cruel brothers, Thomas's journal, the kindness of the villagers. Every step had led her here. Heinrich stood beside her and spoke softly. "You did this, Elisabeth. You gave them a home." Emotion filled her eyes. She shook her head. "No, we all did." The children gathered around her. Their faces glowed with happiness. Noah handed her a flower. Greta and Emma sang. Samuel promised to take care of the garden. And Lenny tucked a flower petal into Elisabeth's hair. Then she asked the question everyone had been feeling. "You're our mother now, aren't you?" Tears filled Elisabeth's eyes. She smiled and nodded. "Always. Sometimes life leads us exactly where we are needed most." This is the story of a woman who came looking for a husband and found a family. A story of children who survived loss. A village that learned to stand together. And a home built not by blood alone, but by love. Every seed planted in that garden, every laugh that echoed across those hills, proved one simple truth. Hope can take root even in the hardest soil. And home is wherever love chooses to stay.